welcome. You're watching Ask Speak here on BloombergQuint Live. I am Agam Vakil.
Hi Agam, I'm Alex Matthew. If you've got questions on equity, you know where to send them to us, but I'll repeat it anyway. You can send them to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp. You can also call us on 022454044141, or you can mail us on askbq@bloombergquint.com.
Well, to take a very quick look at the Indian markets, we are looking at, subdued movements. And even though we began the day of trade with a lot of weakness, eventually we saw the markets catch up and, climb to a certain extent. That said, we're still in the red. We're still looking at a decline around 0.3 of a percentage point. And this is, of course, following the kind of, selling that we saw yesterday. Let's take a look at the big movers. Okay, so the broader markets are actually doing very well. In fact, the small cap index is actually advancing by as much as 0.2%. So there's an outperformance when it comes to some of your relatively smaller names. But let's take a look at some of the nifty gainers right now and see where there is traction. So Infratel is climbing 7%. Z, before its earnings, is looking strong, up 2.3%. PPCL is also up around 1.5%. Among the other gainers on the benchmarks, let's take a look at Coal India. Yeah, that's up 1.5%, but not too much to speak for otherwise. HDFC has recovered. It's up around 0.8% too. Let's take a look at the losers then. And in losses, we have Asian Paints, which is under a tad bit of pressure, down to 2.5%. Tata Steel down 2%, as is the case for M&M, currently trading at 555 rupees per share. It's largely, I would say the metal pack and the oil and gas pack, which is, weighing down on the indices right now. Is that the case for the Nifty 500? And let's see what stocks are standing out. So we have Canfinoms, which is now at day's high. That's around 14.5%. The same for something like a Vodafone Idea. And GVK Power, of course, it's a 4 rupee stock, but that's also up 13%. And moving on to the next set of gainers, we have Repco Home Finance, SRE Infra, and Bharti Infratel. So we have good momentum coming in gainers. Prestige Estates, along with Reliance Communication and DCB Bank, on the other hand, under a bit of pressure. And among the other losers, let's also see Quality, Reliance Power, and NHPC. I won't really, take too much into consideration as far as these stocks are concerned, considering they're largely penny stocks. But that's how the markets are panning out right now, Alex.
All right. Just a quick request to you, if you're tuning in on one of our social media platforms, please don't spam. Place your messages once and it'll help take everybody else's question as well. But on that note, let me get our two experts in for the day. We've got Sameer Kalra of Target Investing and Aditya Agarwala of Yes Securities, who are here to answer all of your questions today. Thank you so much to the both of you for joining us. I want to talk very briefly about these moves that we've seen over the last couple of days, big moves in the benchmarks, corrections, but some resilience seen in the broader markets. Where do you think we are at? And this move that we've seen in the benchmarks, that was the rally that we were talking about pre-budget, that has taken place. So how do you play this at this stage?
So Alex, very simple. Just yesterday example, Nifty was, let's say, 1% down. On a, let's say, 3 months back, 6 months back, mid-cap would have been 2.5%, 3% down as an index. But it was only 0.5%. So that shows you the flows are moving from large caps to mid caps. Whether it's domestic flows, foreign flows, that doesn't matter right now. Because mid caps have a very low valuation. And in that liquidity, it can go at least a 20 to 30% up any stock very quickly. So I would suggest start looking at mid cap stocks, forget the large cap for a while, and start a SIP in them. Don't go for a lump sum. There will be bounces and opportunities on dips, but have a look at mid caps now, seeing that the next 12 months or 18 months, economy or policy action will create a bottom.
Okay.
I'm not saying it will happen in the next 3 months or 6 months. I'm saying in the next 12 months. If that happens, market always preempts that move.
Sure.
And mid caps especially rise on the valuation.
Sure.
So it's better to have a look right now itself. List out the mid caps and start a SIP on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, whatever you want to do, and look for that.
Aditya, we've already seen some, and Agam just pointed out some of those names that you don't hear very often that are moving very sharply in trade. Do you see any opportunities that our trader friends can pick up?
So at the moment, I don't spot any stock in particular, but I would agree with with what Samir said, that you should actually look at the mid cap, small cap space, and SIP mode is one which is preferred because to handpick a particular stock at this point of time, I would not go into that or suggest handpicking a stock at current levels. Probably give it some more time, let the rally get a little more mature, then it will be time to handpick some of the stocks. At the moment, it would be better if you stick to either ETF route or the mutual fund route. That would be better.
Okay, well, from there on, we'll move on to queries. And the first one is a technical one. And, we have Boss on YouTube who wants a technical view on HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, and Bajaj Finance. I'm not going to be able to take all three of them. Let's talk about maybe Kotak Mahindra Bank, because that's the latest one which has been buzzing, and well, that's the one which has been seeing a lot of weakness too. And Aditya, I'm sure a lot will have the question of whether or not this is a good time to get in, considering it's seen some amount of correction. What's your opinion here?
So, Agam, I don't think so. It's time yet to get into Kotak Mahindra Bank. There can be some more downside pressure to it. Look at the volume. Yesterday, it was a volume spike when the stock came down. Today, again, we are witnessing high volumes when the stock is under pressure, about down 1%.
Yeah.
My sense is closer to about 1540 to about 1550. That will be the area. Give it some more time. About 50, 40, 60 rupees lower from current levels.
Yeah.
That will be a good time to get into the stock. Let it consolidate. Mind you, 1540 was a good consolidation zone from which the stock broke out and then saw that sharp surge. So let it come back, retest those breakout zones, and once the stock retests those low levels and consolidates, that will be a good time to get into the stock. Just wait it out.
Okay, we've got a question on Maruti Suzuki, bought at slightly elevated levels, 8,700. Stock is currently at 7,350, having recovered some ground. Samir, I was actually looking at one of the trade magazines, and they were pointing out a concept SUV. So there's more, there's more coming in that space. Perhaps competition to the Creta and all of that. But maybe a few months down the line, how do you see the scenario? Would you say that he should hold on?
So Alex, given that you have kind of a 1,400, 1,300 kind of loss, I would say hold on, but have a very careful look on monthly numbers.
Sure.
Because till date, if I talk about till yesterday, we are 40% down month on month in terms of retail sales. That will again impact the wholesale sales for January and Feb. And if this trend continues and your transition of BS4 to BS6 is not smooth enough, auto industry will face another kind of a bracket issue. Until unless that gets addressed, I would stay away putting any additional money, or I will take a loss and switch somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's move on. Well, the questions on life insurance companies is becoming a usual one. It already has. We have Akshay Mittal, who says he's bought ICICI Prudential at 482. Question is, should I add or should I buy SBI Life instead? Now, I'm not sure if this is a fundamental question or technical question, but I'm going to take up ICICI Pru as a technical question because he's given us levels and he's looking for levels. So, Aditya, I'll take this one up with you. Akshay wants a view on ICICI Prudential and, if possible, also a view on SBI Life.
So, Agam, if he has a view of about a year or more than that, then he should definitely hold on to ICICI Prudential. It's going through a sideways consolidation after a sharp run-up that most of the life insurance companies saw. There's no weakness if I look at the charts on ICICI Pru. Rather, it's time to accumulate if you want to accumulate the stock at current levels. They're going through consolidation. Once the consolidation phase is over, my sense is that the next leg of rally will start as far as ICICI Prudential is concerned. So definitely hold on to it. I'm looking at target of in excess of 550 if you hold on to it for about 6 months. Current levels are somewhere around 490 to about 485. Coming to SBI Life, that is again going through consolidation, sideways consolidation. So I would not recommend him to get out of if he's not holding on to SBI Life. Probably he can look to get on to SBI Life, not at current levels. Wait it out some more time. Probably there's a correction that can come through, a minor correction to levels of 930 to about 920 on the downside. Those will be good levels to get into SBI Life, not at current levels.
Sticking with the auto space, and I'm going to club this. And now we've got Lovelap, who's a regular viewer, is looking at Ashok Leyland and bought at elevated levels, significantly elevated levels of 142. And I'm assuming he's holding for the long term because he's been holding for some time. And we've got Piyush Thakur, who's looking for a short-term view, who's bought it at levels of 74 and looking to hold for the next 3 to 6 months or thereabouts. So I'll come to you first. The commercial vehicle sector, and they say, you have theories in the auto space that talk talk about the lead indicators being heavy commercial vehicles and that turnaround being witnessed there first. Do you see that happening in the near term, and what should one do when you're talking about Ashok Leyland?
So I don't see that happening anytime soon. Even in numbers or talking to fleet operators, they have a lot of fleet still not be used. Second-hand market is already down in dumps. That's where even financiers are facing issues if you see the results. So CV cycle is one which is a lead indicator, but it takes a lot of pressure or a lot of things to move it. So I think it can be preemptive on if any kind of scrappage policy kicks in, because that will be the biggest beneficiary as a sector of that. But again, what kind of a policy, what kind of factors, whether it's voluntary or mandatory, or there are a lot of unknown factors which might push the bracket on the other side.
From a fundamental standpoint, at 142, do you think you should book losses?
I think wait for it. Don't book losses, because again, it might take another 6 to 12 months. But wait for it. Don't add new money.
Speaking of the 6 to 12 months, what's the chart's looking at?
It's looking attractive, Alex. It doesn't look like you should get out of the stock anytime soon, because after a long consolidation, now the stock has started making higher highs, higher lows on shorter term time frame charts. That is an encouraging sign, so he should continue to hold on to it. Immediate target that I look at, if I look at Ashok Leyland, is somewhere between 95 to 100. So at least he can go to see levels of 100 in the coming future. So just stick on to it, wait it some more time, and you can see levels of 100 definitely in the coming months.
Okay, well, we also want a technical view on Pidilite. We have Pravandan Chand, who says that he's holding Pidilite from levels of 1368. His question is, should I book profits or hold on? Time horizon is flexible. That's the question.
So if the time horizon is flexible, he can hold on to it. But if he's looking from a month time horizon point of view, then he should actually exit Pidilite, because immediate correction is there in the stock without a doubt, and it might just test his buying levels again. It bought somewhere around 1350, if I'm not mistaken. 1368. So it's going to test those levels again. My sense is, because there is some correction which is due in the stock post a sharp run up that the stock witnessed. So if he's looking from that point of view, he can exit at current levels and look to get back to it once the consolidation is over. If he has a time horizon of, let's say 2 years or more than that, then definitely he can hold on to it.
Okay.
It's been a stellar start to 2020 for L&T Technology Services. Samir, on the fundamentals though, what is your view? We've got Vineet who's asking whether this can be held as a long-term investment.
So it can be held because it's in engineering end of it. It's not in the actual info end of it. So I think there is a lot of scope, and then again the group presence really gives it a push in terms of clientele as well. So it's better to stay put over here, but do it in the SIP mode even if you want to add to the position, because the valuations are very high. So it's still at a 30% premium to your usual trading value. So any kind of dips you can use it to add on. Otherwise, don't add on that much of increase.
Okay.
Okay, Jason Soanes wants a fundamental view on Varun Beverages and Muthoot Finance. If you could do both.
So I think Varun Beverages is good on the P&L, but very bad on the balance sheet. Because again, the growth comes from acquisition of territories.
Yes.
Because that's a finite space. But again, to acquire that, you need a lot of debt to, pay it out. And cash flows are really not good in that territorial business. So it takes a lot of payback period to clean your balance sheet. So I think avoid it. Either let it go into a kind of a very tricky situation and the valuations to be suppressed really drastically. Until and unless that happens, stay away from it. Muthoot Finance, you can do a SIP because that is one of the NBFCs which never faced a liquidity issue.
Sure.
Muthoot and Manappuram. And they're able to gain market share where other NBFCs are going very cautious.
Right.
Or they're not able to fund it.
Sure.
So I think that's where the maybe scenario can change, but do a SIP mode because they have a lot of gold risk in the books as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting that you say that, because there has been a cooling off in gold prices since the Iran situation sort of just a bit, it came off some of the pressure that was seen. We've got a question on Nesco. Sagar Damani is looking at this counter and seeing the run-up that it's had in, over the last year, as far as I can see. On the charts, it's reached a 52-week high at least today of 747. he's asking, can the momentum continue and can it reach 850 levels in the near term?
Definitely, I believe it's a strong move that we witnessed as far as Nesco is concerned, Alex, and there is strength in the move backed by volumes, so I cannot challenge the move, and my sense is it will continue going ahead. So if he has a time horizon of anywhere in excess of probably a year, he should definitely hold on to it. My initial targets are 810, and if it crosses 810, we might just see levels scaling as high as 850 to about 860 on the upside. So thumbs up, you hold on to it, don't get out of it if you have a time horizon of anywhere in excess of a year. And stocks like these take time to go up, and you'll have to wait it out before you see actual decent returns.
Okay, well, from there on, we move on to Wizboz's question on Kalpataru Power. Can you discuss and what are the prospects of this one? Let's do this fundamentally because we've seen some gains as well of late. Samir, what's your view here?
So I think good enough company on balance sheet and P&L.
Yeah.
Not bad. Seeing the sector, seeing the situation, what has been past 24 months. So they have managed their balance sheets, working capital requirements, still executed good amount of projects, increased their profitability, and it's a place where it can be a turning point and market shares can change very drastically in the next 12 months, because who has the net worth, who has the cash can gain market share again out here, and the execution is already better. So I think have a look, wait for the quarterly numbers, because if that gives a certain disappointment, I'll use that disappointment to add or start buying over there.
Sure.
So that gives me more confirmation rather than preempting the move before the results when budget and results are so close by.
Right.
So I think wait for the results and then post action you can take.
One of the counters, Agam, that you mentioned in your trade setup, if I'm not mistaken, and we were talking about this before the program started also, was Canfin Homes. It's seen 14.5% gain in today's session. We've got a question on this counter from Ujjwal Kumar, and he's been holding at an average price, incidentally, of where the market is currently showing Canfin Homes, that is 445, and he's been holding for about 2.5 years. He's asking whether he should exit at this point, having regained his buy price, or is there potential fundamentally?
So I think fundamentally it was a good place to average at a lower, because what was happening, the NBFC crisis was there, everyone was hunting for money, and Canfin was well funded throughout, and that played in favor of Canfin. If you see the results, they've gained market share again. They're growing their book by 14.5. Their NIMs are at 7-quarter high. So that kind of ideal position, I don't think so. They should book it out, hold on to it. Maybe you can add on the SIP mode.
So I think he might have averaged. I think he's obviously averaged at lower levels because his average price is 445. So you're saying he should add possibly and hold on.
Do a SIP onwards from here.
Okay.
Okay, we move on to a question from Akshay Vishwanath. It's a technical view on NMDC. Let's pull up NMDC. Let's see what it's doing, perhaps the last 3 months. So it's down to 2.4% today. Well, Aditya, what's the view here? How would you address this one?
Agam, I would not read too much into today's fall. It's been an outperformer. If I talk of NMDC within the metal pack, it's been a phenomenal move for NMDC from 120 to about 140 in a matter of no time. So it will give up some part of its gain without a doubt. Some profit booking will be there. So 130 to about 127 on the downside happens to be a good support area for the stock. My sense is if somebody is looking to get into the stock, those will be good areas to get into the stock. If somebody is holding on to the stock, have a view of minimum 3 to 4 months and hold on to it. I'm looking at a northward target of anywhere between 150 to 160 going ahead.
Okay, DCB Bank at 217. Electronic Videos is the name of the viewer who's asking. The stock is currently at 187, seeing drops of as much as 5% on the fundamentals. So, I mean, how do you rate this counter?
So I think a lot of expectations were there from this bank 3 quarters before. They haven't been able to perform over there, and it's better to take an exit right now before I think fundamental deterioration actually starts to come up, because they've done a lot of capex on the branches and that payback period has automatically stretched out. So it's better to stay away or exit your positions right now.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the banking, sector. YRP has a question, Samir. Why did the bank, IndusInd Bank, plunge so much after its results? What went so wrong?
So I think IndusInd Bank, again, all 3 banks, IndusInd, SGFC, Kotak. Let's take all of them. deposit growths have slowed down.
Slow down.
Your advances have slowed down quarter on quarter, because when the valuations are so high, you have to see quarter on quarter.
Yeah.
And then again, your asset quality on the retail and SME end is coming up,
Right.
and especially on the agri end as well.
Yeah.
So these three banks have the similarity in these quarterly numbers.
Yep.
And that's putting a pressure on these valuations, and they have a good enough scope of 15 to 20% downside
Yeah.
on a longer period, or a time correction maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's better to stay away from all these three.
Now, I know that we did take Canfin Homes on the fundamentals, and the advice that Samir gave was to add in an SIP mode, but there is a specific question based on today's move. Would you change your near-term target and stop loss for this count?
Yes, I would, Alex. If you're holding on to the Canfin, you should have a stop loss of 420 on the downside, considering today's sharp up move with an initial target of 465 to 475. There was a gap which I see somewhere in 2018. There was a gap down in Canfin, and my sense is that gap might just get filled. So that gap is placed somewhere between 265 to 275. So that will be my initial target, 275. With a stop loss at 420, you can definitely look to hold on to it.
Okay, well, Krishna has bought Piramal Enterprises at 2010 and is holding it for the last 5 months. What is the future of the stock? Should losses be advised to be booked, or can they be held on? What's the view here, Samir?
So I think hold on to it. It's in a decent position.
Yeah.
They have been doing a lot of deleveraging. They have raised funds.
Yes.
So liquidity now is still better for Piramal. The only thing is the legacy book which they have.
Yeah.
What kind of a situation that comes in the cleaning for a couple of quarters. Give it 6 months. I think you can find lower prices, but I think it's not a place to get out and book such a heavy loss.
All right.
If I remember correctly, Mayank Saraf has taken a position in Kena Metal at lower levels, and I think he's looking for a fresh view on the fundamentals. Stock has rallied quite significantly from sub-1,000 levels to now trade at 1,120. How do you rate it?
So I think a very good company, unknown to a lot of investors.
Sure.
It's in industrial consumption, and they have a lot of market share over there. The
Very low
main
volumes,
competition
though.
is the main competition to them is imports.
Sure.
So any kind of import duty increases, or any kind of barriers to that, or any changes over there, wait for the budget. I would still hold on to. If capacity utilization has to come up, then Kena Metal, Carborundum, Universal, Grindwell, Norton.
So this is all
These kind of industrial consumptions will push up now if the economy has
dependent on mining activity, right? If mining activity picks up, you would think that this would
Yeah,
automatically.
it does, but it's like a lot of, right now you're running at 74, 75%
Sure.
capacity nationally, right? If it goes to 78, 79 automatically in next 12 months, then Kena Metal really goes to almost a double level from here.
Sure.
Okay, well, it's time to hit the rapid fire segment. And before that, just a very quick reminder, though I'm sure my panelists do not need that reminder, to keep their answers as short as possible to accommodate as many queries as possible. The first question is from Arumuga Perumal. Long-term view on Indian banks. Samir, this one is for you.
Avoid it.
Grasim for the long term, Roshan Kumar wants to know.
Avoid it. Right now there's too much going on in the group.
Okay, a technical view on Castrol India. We have Twinkle Star, who wants a short-term view.
I would not venture into Castrol. It doesn't look too attractive on the downside. 128 should be your target if you are short. If you are long, exit.
We've discussed Pidilite, but the question is Ultratech, Pidilite, Vinati Organics, and Kiana Construction. You don't need to talk about all of them, but which stands out according to you?
Ultratech Cement, definitely.
Okay, Nagaraj Kinney wants a 1-year target on Bharti Airtel. Any view here, Aditya?
Definitely thumbs up as far as Bharti Airtel is concerned from my side. If he's looking for a target of 1 year, I see anywhere between 550 to about 600 on the upside as far as Bharti Airtel is concerned.
What's the view on DMart, Samir? Vishal Shah wants to know.
So it's a good company at least compared to Reliance Retail, a better valuation. I think hold on to if you have it, but let the price come off and then you can average it out.
Lazy Bull wants to know if ONGC is a good bet at current levels, Aditya.
No, definitely avoid.
Okay, next one is also for you. Reliance Industries bought at levels of 1543, so I think it's at significantly elevated levels. At 1530 right now, what do you say to do?
So hold on to it. Put a stop loss at 1500. 1500 is a very strong support zone for Reliance. If that is broken on the downside, you should be out of the trade. Do not hold
No,
on.
he's bought a short. Okay.
He's got a short.
Yeah.
You should put a stop loss at 1550 on the upside and look to exit somewhere between 1500. 1500 is a very strong support zone.
Okay.
Okay, Aditya, one more for you. There's ABB India. We have Harish Bale wants a short-term view on ABB.
So ABB is going through sideways consolidation at the moment. Nothing much is happening there. 1400 is a resistance. 1200 on the downside is a support. Buy near support and look to exit near the resistance.
Okay.
Fundamental view on SBI, we haven't taken it, right? No.
So I think avoid it right now. If private banks of high quality are showing asset quality
Sure,
strains,
there's going to
then
be
SBI
strain.
will really show.
Radico Khaitan, 317. Would you book profits at this point?
Yeah, I would take off some money out of alcohol
Sure.
sector.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time that we have on this edition of Ask PQ. But I'd like to thank both our experts, Samir and Aditya. Thank you indeed for taking all the questions that you did answer today.
But remember, we're just a tweet, a post, or a call away. So keep your queries coming in, and we promise to address as many of them as possible. For all the previous episodes, visit our YouTube channel or our website, BloombergQuint.com. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to Bloomberg.